This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with Violent Gentlemen. We're glad to say we're joined by the silencer, Aaron McKenna. How are you, Aaron?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All's fantastic. It's a busy Friday. We're one day out now from probably the biggest fight, I would say, of the year so far, and Joshua Usyk. And I think it's probably like any big fights nowadays, you're going, I'm sure that's the way the fight's going to go. So I know we've just had the weigh-ins and stuff like that. Who do you reckon's going to win this weekend yourself?
Yeah, it's going to be a great fight and one of the best fights of the year. I think Joshua is going to win by KO. It's a tight call, but I think Joshua will get him in the 6th or 7th round.
6th or 7th round. I was thinking more myself, Usyk 6 or 7. But it's one of them fights. It's what do you like more? Do you like the power sort of Joshua or the Usyk wearing you down? You know?
Yeah, and Usyk's just moving up now to heavyweight. Don't really know what he's going to be like, if he'll still have that moving and all. Will the weight add anything to him, slow him down a bit more? So I think Joshua will take him out of there.
Definitely, it's a good fight to obviously look forward to. And we obviously noticed with your brother Stevie on last week, and what a setup you have there at home. You know, you can just sort of see in the background. But you know, when you have such a setup as you have at home, you know, what do you really need to leave the house for? You know, I think I was joking with Stevie last week and saying he eats his breakfast, dinner, and lunch in the gym. But that's the sort of the two are. He's just workhorses. You just want to keep. He's loved the sport so much. You just want to keep going at it.
Yeah, we have a brilliant setup here, so we do everything that we need. It's like Abel Sanchez gym in the Big Bear Mountains. We're not distracted by anything. We walk out the back door. We have the boxing gym, the bags, the gym setup, and then we have a running track just about 5 miles away from us. So everything we have, it's right beside us, and then we have each other too. Me and Stephen do a lot of training with each other, sparring, bags, pads, running, everything we do together, and it's really competitive as well. So we keep each other on our toes, and then we have our father and our brother Gary as well. He's joined the coaching team. So another man who's very useful to have, has a lot of knowledge about the game.
Definitely is, and obviously I know your father's been a massive influence for you and Stevie, and you know throughout the years, and probably got the best IVs for that. Stevie was sort of saying last week the rivalry the two have is just to get the best out of each other. I want to sort of go back to something I mentioned to Stevie last week. You're actually beating them in the fantasy football league at the moment.
I'm beating them, yeah. Most years I always beat them on it anyway, but this year I've got off to a good start, and I've just got to keep it going. And I'm doing well, and top 5 I think in every league in it, and just got to keep it going.
And he was saying it's a marathon, not a sprint. So he seems to reckon he's going to get his way back into it. I seem to start off like a house and train. I think I had 110 points the first week. Because I think Pogba as my captain and Fernandez as my vice captain. So the first week I'm going, this is in the bag. And now I've losing striker after striker. I've one transfer to make and I don't know who to make. I'm running out of ideas.
You can't go wrong if you have Salah captain every week.
But I don't think I've 12 million to spend. I think I've got about 7 or 8 million. So I don't know. I had Callum Wilson and he's been out injured. Had Cavani in at the start. He's been injured.
Have you got Antonio?
Who? Antonio?
Antonio.
He's out injured now, I think, as well.
He got a red card, but he's back this week.
Like this week, so maybe an idea. So I know I've got to, I think, 12 maybe tomorrow. They put it in, so maybe I'll have a wee look at them and see if he can get me a few points. See if I can get closer to you now.
That's it.
So anybody, Aaron, we always bring on for the first time. We always like to go way back to the start and sort of get an idea of sort of why you get into boxing and things like that. I guess for you growing up, you would obviously have idols, you would idolize and watch. You know, Stevie was saying obviously you watch a lot of old clips on YouTube. For obviously some of the newer amateurs coming into the scene now, they'll probably look at the likes of the new age Klitschko's that you and Stevie are as inspiration for them. So what age did you start boxing, and was it obviously because of your brother Gary and Stevie that you get into boxing, or was it just something that you always felt you had to do?
I started boxing when I was 6. Stephen went first, and then about a couple of weeks later I went and joined too, and Gary as well. So I've been doing it ever since then. And my father was a boxer too, and my granddad. So it's in the blood. And as soon as I started, I knew this is the sport I want to do, and I just have loved it ever since. And one of the fighters.
I think initially you started off in karate and you found it boring.
Yeah, I started karate just before boxing. About a year, I'd say. I was probably 5, 6-ish as well. And didn't really enjoy it at all. It was too boring for me. You didn't get to do enough hitting. It was very, what would you call it? Yeah, boring. And I wanted to do something where I could get in there and punch people in the face.
But was it something, obviously, I know with your father and stuff boxing in the past, was it sort of whenever you could walk, you had a pair of gloves on and you were always ready to be a boxer? You know, was it something that was always instilled in you? Because I guess if you have your own kids, you'll probably take them into boxing the same way because it's tradition down through the family.
Yeah, from what I can remember, like I always loved boxing and watching all the fights. My favorite fighter growing up is Mike Tyson. I always watched all his old clips on YouTube, and that's the fighter I memorized going in like to all my fights. And I got a lot of stoppages in the amateur game, and that's who I try to be like, my style, Mike Tyson.
I love watching back old clips. I think I was watching the Holyfield fight a couple of weeks ago. I think the ear biting one, which, you know, probably in the later days of Tyson that you probably try and not to remember, you know, when he sort of was going off the rails a bit. But obviously Mike Tyson he didn't mess about. You know, probably like yourself, you know, you and Stevie merged yourself the same as once you get in there, it's 100% to get the fight finished as quickly as possible, because as what they say in boxing, you don't get paid for overtime, you know, so get it done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's it. And the way he went into fights as well, he was a very scary man. Like at the weigh-ins and before the fight, looking into his opponent's eyes, he had them feared before the first bell even went. He had all his opponents scared. So that's the type of way I want to be before the fight starts, way before the actual first bell. So you have to be very, very focused and dedicated.
Yeah, that fear in. And obviously, you obviously found amateur boxing probably, I wouldn't say quite easy, but you obviously picked it up very well. You're 8-time Irish champion, European Schoolboy Gold, European Junior Silver. Does it sound as easy as obviously it was? I know obviously there's a lot of hard work and dedication in, but how did you find amateur boxing?
Yeah, nothing's easy in this game. You've got to put the hard work in, and we always put in the hard work over the years. We were very focused, dedicated in the amateur days. We never missed any session. So like when our families had weddings or whatever there was on, we'd still never make sure to miss a session or whatever it was. That's how focused we were. We'd go into fights, tournaments with the goal to win. And I think that's been the difference in us. And we just have to take that to the pro game. We have the same mindset. I'm not going to stop until I win a world title, and I'm fully focused on that.
Yep, and definitely that's the right thing to have. And like you signed pro at 18, were you sort of never fussed on Commonwealths and Olympic Games? I know we're just past the Olympics there, when obviously you're watching Kelly Harrington and stuff like that winning gold. Do you sort of go, I would have loved to have went to the Olympics, or was always pro boxing always in your head that you wanted to be a pro boxer?
Yeah, it was always in my head to be a professional boxer. Even from when I was young, it was always my mindset. I think it's far more entertaining and it suits my style a lot more. Going into the later rounds, I want to keep the same fitness as I am in the first few rounds, so it's better that way. Amateur boxing for me is too short. And
too much control, too much. Things can go wrong, obviously judging and things like that in the amateurs. Same with Mick Conlon in 2016, and you know, I think when that buries in people's head and they train so hard for 4 years, they have judges take it away from you. Whereas in the pro game, it's not more on a scoring basis and things like that. You make your own sort of destiny and things. So it's a good sort of way to go. In your first years of pro, you had 6 fights. Was it sort of a case of getting fights as regular as you could get? You know, how did you find the initial stages of turning pro? Was it just like the amateurs, go in and knock them out and that was the end of it?
Yeah, going into the pros, I learn to like whack the punches in and settle down a bit more. Don't be bouncing on the toes. So that's what I've been working on, sparring a lot of pros from I was young, learning all the tricks and the trade of the game. And each fight I've been learning and improving all the time. That's the goal. I'm still only 22 and I just want to keep on learning and improving and win that world title.
And Stevie was saying last week is probably, because I know he's of all, both these have started like the A-list sort of boxing world of boxers. He was saying his favorite spar, I was in America, was Lomachenko. Who would you say your best spar has been with yourself?
I've sparred a lot of top guys. Amir Khan, I like that spar, and Jamie Munguia, another good spar in Mexico.
Definitely someone else. I was going to bring it to you. I know Munguia, obviously Mexican. They love to fight. The same as obviously yourself. You love to fight and you love to have a war. But I'm sure it'd have been a good obviously learning experience as well. Obviously fighting two former world champions in Khan and Munguia.
Yeah, that's it. I always like to get the best sparring. I've sparred multiple world champions and people who's fought for titles. So for me, I need to get the best sparring that's out there. I'd spar anyone in the world, a weight up and a weight down.
Definitely, as I said, only adds to learning more and perfecting your own craft. So when you get the world titles, you're ready for them.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you just got to keep getting that experience, and all the sparring we've been getting over the years has been incredible, and it'll stand to us in the ring. So when we're in them fights, we don't be worried about trying to go the distance. That's why we have the mindset to take them out of there. You don't get paid for overtime, and the plan is to always make it exciting too.
Definitely is. And like in 2019, you fought 4 times before the pandemic kicked in. I know everybody's faced the pandemic in the same way, but was sort of a year out of boxing. Then, you know, I know you obviously have a state-of-the-art gym there at home. Did it sort of change anything for your mindset? Were you probably getting to the stage where fighting just with Stevie in the gym, where you sort of going, I want in there, I want more fights? How did you find sort of the adjustment from the pandemic?
Well, the pandemic didn't really affect us too much because of all the training equipment and all we have. We have everything we need here, and we're very lucky to have each other and our father and our other brother Gary too. And we've learned and improved so much over the last year and a half since it. Like the work we've been doing with each other, we're just better in each other, and we be really competitive too. And yeah, it didn't have it.
Outstanding as well. You fought obviously twice since on Hennessey Sport shows in England. You stopped obviously probably the unstoppable Jordan Grannum in December of last year. I think 86 fights he's had to date, and you're the only man to stop him. Does that probably show the intent of the person you are, or was it just another opponent?
Yeah, going into that fight, that was my mindset. I wanted to be the first one to stop him, and I think it was a good achievement to get it, and I was very happy with it. So that was my plan going into it. I wanted to make sure I could show everyone what I could do, and by stopping them, and it was great to be getting on the Hennessey Sports card. I got a lot of publicity out of it and a lot of new fans. I think it's great to be fighting over in England, and a lot of people can come support me too. So that fight against Grannum, it was in Channel 5 and had over 1.5 million viewers, and the publicity I got straight away when that fight was shown was amazing, and it's great to get it.
Definitely is, and it's that sort of audience you want. You want to be having the demand that people want to see more of you. You were back out again then at the start of September. Some of these names I can never probably pronounce properly. Gogo Sayev. To be fair to him, probably I would say really, really tough guy. You know, I was through the fight, you were hitting him with everything, and he just wasn't going. And then obviously in the 6th round, time sort of ran out in the end. You obviously put him down twice before the end of the 6th round, where you sort of going, just give me 10 more seconds, I'm going to get him out of here.
Yeah, I was just, it was an awful pity there wasn't another 10-20 seconds, because I would have definitely got him out of there. But he was a good tough guy. He took a lot of good shots, and he was just in survival mode from the first bell, and it was good to get the rounds that since I hadn't had a fight in nearly a year to shake off the ring rust. But again, it was amazing to be back out in front of the fans. Me and Stephen on the same card for the first time in front of all the fans, and a right crowd went over from Ireland too. So the support was great, and it was amazing to fight in a Hennessey Sports card too again.
Definitely was. And you're now 12-0 with 7 KOs. Your last 2 fights, I'm probably going to say similar to Stevie. Obviously, he's obviously as getting a bit older, but obviously you're still relatively young, but obviously finding it hard to stay at the lower weights. Your last 2 have been around middleweight. Is it sort of similar to yourself at 22, you're still filling out? Are you going to be moving up sort of from, because I'm thinking initially we were around about welterweight, 147. Are you finding it tougher as you're starting to fill out a bit more to stay at that welterweight limit?
I started out as a welterweight, when I made my pro debut, but now I'm filling it out to a middleweight, so I'm going to be moving into the middleweight division. And I think now I'm getting older. I'm 22. I'm starting to show my real power, and I'm only going to get stronger as I get older too.
And like you're 6'2" as well, I think. So obviously as a middleweight, it's still, you're still going to have a good advantage over people. It's normally around about 6'2". You're normally about super middleweight probably before you're getting people nearly the same height. So you're going to have good advantages, and you're strong and powerful. I'm sure middleweight will be a breeze for you.
Yeah, I'm 6'2" and I have a long reach as well, so I can use my reach good. And the good thing is as well, I can fight in the inside if I have to. So if it comes to the part where I have to fight in the inside, I can do that too.
It definitely is. And obviously training alongside Stevie as well. I think he said that the motivation the two is training together brings the best out of each other. Is it sort of a stage now where you sort of one of you will go ahead, probably Stevie being the older, he'll probably go ahead and show you the way, or are you trying to do it vice versa?
Well, we're kind of close enough now together. We're at the same, he's 9 now, I'm 12 now, so I'd say fight by fight, see how things go, and take each fight as it comes.
Definitely the opportunities are there. Would it be fair to say probably Stevie's the more vocal of the two? Obviously I know he's been calling Conor Ben out, and obviously I think he had a spat with Ryan Garcia, obviously training footage. Is there anybody, probably your nickname is Silencer is probably for a reason, you like to stay silent and do your damage in the ring, but is there anybody you sort of have cast your eye on yourself, or are you just happy to let that go in your mind, and when it comes, it comes?
Yeah, well, I let the fist do the talking, but I think everyone in the sport wants to fight the best, and if you're in this game, you have to fight the best. And I'd love to get a fight with Canelo whenever it happens, whenever I get to the top. That's the one guy I'd love to fight.
Definitely is, and obviously brings the most money into the sport as well. So I know sometimes you don't do it for the money. You're obviously, you want to be a world champion, but to be the best, you have to beat the best. Have you started then to sort of formulate a plan of obviously how to beat him? Because I think, as you say with Mike Tyson, I think with Canelo, a lot of opponents are beat before they get in the ring as well. I think Billy Joe would try to say he wasn't fazed by it, but as you've seen, Canelo was sort of during the fight watching and making the same mistake, and obviously that's how you capitalize on it. It's now a case where in times when you're not preparing for a fight, you're sort of studying Canelo and finding out ways to beat him.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of them, so if it ever did happen, I'd be more than ready, and everyone's beatable, so I think I'd be ready when the time comes.
And obviously the Canelo and Plant are going to make history as a first undisputed super middleweight fight. Is it going to be another easy one for Canelo, or do you see Plant giving him any damage?
Well, he looks up for it, so he does, by watching the press conference. It was a great thing for boxing. I think it's what it needs at the minute. Make it exciting and entertaining, and a lot more people will probably tune into it now. And it's gonna, hopefully it lives up to the same fight, and Plant brings that into the ring, that same attitude he had there at the press conference.
It definitely is, and it's probably taking a throwback to probably like, remember Tyson and was it Lennox Lewis, where they were doing the walking down the steps and they were fisticuffs thrown everywhere.
Yeah, when old time boxing needs to be brought back again, like the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it needs to be brought back again. And my style and Stephen's style, that's what we try to do. We try and get Hitman Hearns, Marvin Hagler. We're trying to reincarnate them styles and be exciting.
Definitely is. And I know you done a bit of speaking last week as on the Hennessey Sport show. How did you find sort of, speaking about obviously your own brother in a fight? Did you find it was like, I could speak about him all day. Did you find it was easy in front of the cameras? You'd much rather prefer to be in the ring?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It was a good experience to speak live on Channel 5 after Stephen's fight. I really liked it, and hopefully I'll be doing plenty more speaking too after Stephen wins.
Definitely is, and obviously we'll get him on and he'll call people out for you instead. He's the call out man of the family, so he'll arrange your fights like a manager, and he'll say Aaron's fighting such and such next.
Yeah, it's good, yeah. And then Channel 5 as well, a lot of people are probably watching that. They get over 1.5 million views, so it's great to get that exposure on them Hennessey cards, and it's just going to build our profile up.
Definitely is, and I know Hennessey Sports are obviously looking at bringing shows back to Ireland as well, so it'd be great obviously potentially down the line the two of you obviously headlining or co-headlining cards together, and obviously bringing boxing back to the south of Ireland.
Yeah, it'd be great to fight in Ireland at some stage, hopefully sooner rather than later. And the plan is to bring a world title back to Monaghan and fight there.
And are you a Liverpool fan as well as Stevie then? Are you both mad Liverpool fans?
Yeah, both Liverpool fans.
Who
are you?
Imagine the two of you both fighting for defending world titles at Anfield.
Oh, that'd be unreal. That'd be the plan after you fight back in Ireland, fighting Monaghan, and then fight somewhere in Dublin, and then maybe, who knows, in Anfield.
It definitely is. And what sort of are you hoping to be as active as possible now moving forward? Is it a sort of stage of whenever you can get a fight, you're ready to go? From the outside, it looks like you and Stevie are pretty much sitting with a bag, ready to go whenever the phone call comes.
Yeah, we train as soon as the fight's over. We get straight back into it, and we're always ready for a fight whenever it comes. We just need a few weeks' notice, and we'd be ready. And I'm 22. I just want to get as many fights as I can now. I just want to stay active and busy.
Definitely. And what's finally then the last question I have? What goals have you sort of set yourself over the next 12 to 24 months in boxing?
So I'll take each fight as it comes and get them out of the way. But I'd like to win a small belt within the next few fights, and then maybe a European belt, and then by 2 years I'd like to fight for the world title.
Fantastic.
If even within months.
2 years time, obviously I know that Stevie about similar as well. So maybe potentially looking at the likes of a BUA Irish or BUA Celtic title, pretty much to start with.
Yeah, whatever. I'd take whatever happens, whatever comes my way.
Definitely was. But Aaron, obviously, well, thank you for coming on and having a chat with us. Obviously, great for myself to know more about you as a fighter. Obviously, we'll stay in tenterhooks as we always do in watching your fights. Definitely as a thrill a second. I think one thing a lot of people are figuring out with yourself and Stevie is that it's must-watch fights, because you're going to give entertainment from the first bell until obviously the referee waves the fight off. But I'm sure we'll hopefully get a catch up again in the future at some stage.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. It was great to be on talking to you.
Not a problem, Aaron. And we'll catch up again soon.
All right. Thanks very much.
All right. Cheers. Take care. Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.